follow entertainment news, then you likely know Kevin Frazier. As co-anchor of The Insider, the entertainment and pop culture magazine show on CBS, his face is broadcast into millions of homes every night. But as much as Frazier is a host, he's an entrepreneur, having built an entire business around celebrity interviews as the founder of HipHollywood.com. I talked with Kevin about his rekindled relationship with his son Tony, who was given up for adoption during Kevin's teenage years.
When you came into the office and we had a chance to meet, you brought this guy. And I thought he was like, one of your colleagues or something. Mm-hmm. It was your son, and he's also a broadcast journalist.
Yeah, my son Tony is a reporter for Channel 4 in Washington, D.C., WRC. And it's amazing because you don't realize what you're doing, how it's rubbing off on your child and how he's sucking in all the stuff.
In the same way that your dad rubbed off on you.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I'm so proud of him. And I'm so proud of what he's done. And the story of how we ended up being together and coming together is amazing. And we there's an article this month in Ebony talking about, I think it's called Second Chance, talking about how we came back together. And it's been a great journey, the two of us together. And so I'm so proud of him.
What do you mean when you say how you came back together?
When he was first born, I was in high school. And so I was a young guy. His mother and I weren't really together. And so he was initially given up for adoption. And then after he was given up for adoption, when he was 2 years old, I was in a McDonald's. I had seen a picture of him before. And I saw this kid and I was like, holy crap, that's him. I know it's him. And so I went up to the lady with him and I said, look, I think you know who I am. I think I know who you are. And she was like, you're absolutely right. Call me later this evening, we'll talk. And so his adopted mother was gracious enough to kind of include me in his life some, and I was around, but not a lot. And then when he turned 18, he was working as a mechanic at a station, at a dealership. He was a mechanic at a dealership, and I said, look, you can always come back to this, but you need to go to college. So you're gonna come, you're gonna live with me, and you're gonna go to college. And his adoptive mother and his girlfriend at the time, who he was living with, they had bought a house, they were furious with me. They were like, what are you doing? You're gonna mess up his life. He has a great job. He's a mechanic, he makes, $30 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's always gonna be there. He has to go to college. And so he moved in with me when I was in Hartford at ESPN. And you can only imagine what it's like of us kind of coming together after all that time.
Did you go through a period where he resented you?
I don't know, like we had, the first week he was there, we had like marathon summits, I like to call them, talking about our lives, and just sitting down talking about our lives. So I think he wanted to understand why this happened. And so we had to sit down and talk about it. I had to explain it to him. And I was like, look, the other thing that's happening is here we are and we have this opportunity. And either we're gonna make the best of it or we're gonna try and kill each other. And there were days where it was like full on because he feels, I'm a grown man, I've had a job. And I'm like, no, you're a kid and you're going to college. And so we had those clashes. I mean, there was some full on just crazy moments.
Well, and the question is, who are you to tell me that? Did he ever say that?
Yeah, there was that. That was like, why are you telling, I mean, and I would have to sit down and just say, listen, what I'm telling you is what's best for you. And while you are going to college, and while I'm helping you go to college, I'm gonna try and steer and guide you the right way. And it worked out. I mean, it's amazing now, and we have an amazing relationship. And literally, we talk every single day. I think that there was a little bit of a disconnect because he was, they were like, oh, he's not a school person. And I just remember I was talking to his adopted mother and she's like, he's just not a school person. And I sat him down and I said to him, I looked at him in the face and I said, there are people who don't think you can accomplish this. I know you can accomplish this, and that's why I'm here to make sure you accomplish this.
How did
We're
you
going
know
to do
that
this. I knew he could. And I know that, there are so many people and kids out there that if they just had a person in their lives who would say, I believe in you, I love you, and I'm here to work with you no matter what. There's gonna be times where you're gonna really make me mad. And there are going to be times where we're really going to dislike each other, but it doesn't matter. I'm here to stay the course, and I'm going to be with you no matter what. So you can't shake me.
When you look back at your own teenage years,
I was a knucklehead.
You got a girl pregnant.
No, I was a knucklehead. I was a complete knucklehead, and so that's why I look at him and I was like, "This is not." I was like, "Come on!" I was like, "You're better than me. You're doing better.
You can do it."
And so it was a great journey. And then that he has done so well in the television business. It's amazing. I'm happy for him. And what makes me so happy is that I see him now. And I look at the complete person, and I look at the pride that he feels, when he does stuff and he accomplishes these things. I just look at him and I say, wow, this is good for you. And it's not about me. It's about him and the rest of his life and all the things going on in his life and the pride that he feels when he accomplishes those things, That's important, and that's why if you get an opportunity to help someone, you always should.
Would you like to see him involved in the family business at some point?
You know what? He initially, because he was working in Sacramento, then came down to L.A. because his wife is a school psychiatrist, and so she got a big job, and he was like, I have to move to L.A. And I was like, well, come and work with me in the family business. And I thought that was a wrap, that he was going to stay with me, and we'd work and keep building the business. And he did a great job. He was working for me, and he was like, look, I got this job in D.C. I got to go. And I was like, I guess you got to go.
And it's great experience for him to maybe come back in the future.
Oh, sure. And I think it was also a great experience for him because the big thing for me is you must understand the business nuts and bolts. If you need to pick up a camera, you better be able to pick up a camera. If you need to edit something, you better be able to edit it. And if you have to write, you better be a good writer. So I've always been kind of hard on him about that, where he'll call me and he'll say, did you see my live shot today? And I'll be like, your live shot was fantastic. Why did you lead in with those 3 words? And he'll say, you know what, I get it, okay. And it's great. We go back and forth.
Hello, I'm Lee Hawkins. I'm typically not the type to dwell on the past, but I gotta say, 2012, it was a busy year.
I was working for ESPN, and I got a call from my agent, and she said, hey, Entertainment Tonight would like to, sit down with you. And I was like, look, I'm not doing that.